Peace. Today's mathematics is understanding knowledge, which is the number 31, and I wanted to take a moment to build briefly on what that actually means in part. You think about the information age that we're in. People are more aware or conscious of things that they've never been aware of or conscious of before, just simply because of the access to the World Wide Web and smartphones. So in this woke era, one of the other things that you realize is just because a person is exposed or they're aware of something now or have access to knowledge, it doesn't automatically mean that they actually understand. In other words, engage a person around a subject that they've been exposed to via the World Wide Web or their smartphone, and you'll quickly realize that just because they're aware of it, it doesn't mean that they have the capacity to explain or elaborate on what they've been aware of. So there's a huge disparity between what people are aware of and what they actually understand. There's a disconnect between knowledge and understanding. So when you're talking about understanding knowledge, what that's saying is the ability to comprehend or to see what it is that you've been made aware of, to actually grasp the knowledge that you've been exposed to. I remember some years back, I was watching a Democratic National Convention, and there was this political pundit on there talking about all of the money that was being invested in a certain city and the medical institutions being built here and these facilities being built here and the services that are now accessible to the citizens and millions of dollars put into this one area, and people were applauding it, and I'm sitting there thinking like, so what you're really telling us is people are sicker than they've ever been before. Obviously, if all of this money has to be invested in the healthcare industry, you're telling us that people are more sick than they've ever been. That perspective is understanding knowledge. Everyone else that was sitting there applauding this were just simply looking at things on the surface. They had a very cosmetic perspective of what this person was presenting. Me, I'm looking within it and listening to the unspoken words. It's something that my old earth used to tell me when I was younger. Always listen to the unspoken words. Listen to what is not being said. Read between the lines. So understanding, or the best part, is really being able to see things for what they are, not what they appear to be. And it requires critical thinking skills. So understanding knowledge drawn up to its highest is culture, or 3 and 1 equals 4. What that means is the ability to critically analyze things serves as the preface for how you live your life. That is your culture. Your culture consists of all your people activities. And one of the things you'll realize is people who are living on autopilot, where they're not critically thinking about anything, where they don't have a sense of understanding of what they've been exposed to, there's a lacking in their way of life when it comes to their principles, their values, their customs, their traditions, because they're just going along with the flow. They're not actually looking at the labels on the food that they're actually ingesting. You know, when they go and have their children registered in the public or the private schools, they're not engaging with the instructors and striving to figure out what it is they're actually being taught. They're not thinking critically about themselves as well as the world around them. So understanding, in part, means to be a critical thinker, to look within what it is that you've been exposed to. Having a capacity to elaborate on and to explain what it is that you're conscious of. And that is necessary in terms of how you live, because a person's inability to do that can be easily led in the wrong direction. And if you're really striving to be self-directed, to invest in growth and development, and to strive for perfection, you have to have a critical thinking approach towards life. You have to have a scientist of life perspective, not a person that's just going with the flow. And if you don't want to just simply go with the flow, it's important that you strive to understand what it is that you've been exposed to. So I will, this was inspiring, it was empowering, it was educational. I just gave those of you a brief overview of one of the perspectives of what understanding knowledge actually means. So, peace and thanks for tuning in.